Okay, fantastic. It's recording now. So, first of all, hi guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the Lighting for Video Games Open Day. I'm super excited to have you here. I'm your host, Yash. Just a little bit about me. I'm a content creator and environment artist, and I also host a lot of live events like this. And I've also previously hosted the podcast for Vertex School. And today we have a very special guest and a very cool guest. Um, Hold on. Oh, okay. Just going to mention this real quick as a side note. The recording will be shared, so you guys don't have to worry about that. So we'll get you the recording. Like once the event is done, recorded, we'll be sending it to you. Okay, going back to what I was saying. Today we have a very special guest. We have Maria joining us. Maria, it's an absolute honor to have you here. For anyone in the audience who is not very familiar or has not come across Maria yet, she is a principal lighting artist who has her fingerprints over some of the most visually striking games. For example, Gears 5, Far Cry, Primal Star Citizen, these are some of like the most iconic titles. Some of us may be very, very familiar with it. On top of that, she's also a BAFTA member. So let's just say she's the real deal. We are going to get a very cool demo. She's going to answer a lot of your questions. And I would highly encourage all of you to just ask any question that you have. There is no such thing as a silly question or a too simple question. The goal of this whole open day is for you guys to be here, interact with Maria, ask your questions, learn more about lighting for video games. So I highly encourage all of you to just, if you feel comfortable enough, feel free to unmute yourself, speak up. If you feel like you want to pop the question in the chat, feel free to do that. Okay, let's get started. So, Maria, first question is, for those meeting you for the first time, how would you describe what a lighting artist actually does?
Right, yeah, that's a very interesting question. So, guys, you all know well, AAA games, which has a blockbuster budget, but under the surface, they actually also heavily rely on the latest real-time technology in terms of render, shader, and lighting. So, consider what lighting artist does for games is very different than what you know in the movie or like a theater, which I used to train before. So it's we not only golfer, we also work as a tour guide. So consider your your job will be a blending between makeup artist, makes the game looks really beautiful, and also you will be a tour guide. You gonna decide where the player gonna look, and you want if you want to show something or hide something related to the gameplay. So that will be you and your art director's call. So we're tour guide. We have the power to decide if this map will be easier for navigation or more difficult.
That is super interesting. Now you mentioned that AAA games are like very heavy budget, and you've also worked across multiple AAA titles and some smaller productions as well. What originally pulled you towards lighting?
Right. So I think it's a bit of personal like influence from my parents and also my family member because my grand used to be a tailor, and she's like really interested about the movie and so yeah, I was coming to UK around like 2007, and I was actually study space design and set design. So eventually, I was looking for job, not even for games, because now you know I trained for fine art and the stages. I never trained for games. So what makes me into games is actually I played the Mirror's Edge one, and there is like a job in the credits as there's lighting artist. I told this story many times, and till these days I still feel like that is the game made me understand I actually can use my lighting skill where I trained for movies, photography, and set. into games, it's possible. So since then, I started, I end up right to the original lighting artist until these days. I feel like he's like still my idol with all of the great cinematographers. So yeah, that's basically where it headed. So I never trained for games, but I saw people do lighting in games. So I'm like, I know lighting. All I have to know is figure out how to light again. That's it.
That's fantastic. That's a very cool journey. It's just I like that you didn't start in lighting, but through art, just exploring different areas of different aspects of art, you just ended up there. It's very cool just finding what you like to do without really even starting right at that specific point.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think like one point is when I entered my bachelor degree because the subject originally I applied for costume design, but also photography. But later it turns out like the costume design has something I feel less useful, if I may say, because they spend too much time about like the material rather than design and draping. And later it's almost like, oh, okay, we still have like also that subject is full because it's popular. Everybody wants to be a fashion designer. And then I choose my option two, which is photography. So I guess that's where like the closest study with lighting, that's where it's coming from.
that's fantastic. I am seeing a few questions coming in. The first question is, my question is for the boot camp. Are we going to make a scene from scratch, like model walls, props, etc.?
No, I'm a lighter. I'm not a modeler. So I myself never good at modeling. I mean, I can make a bird cage or as an shader, but that's it. Don't expect me to do like awesome temple. So what I'm gonna encourage guys to do is I'm gonna sharing personal work. Yes, personal work while like going through the bootcamp course. And if we have time, we can share it later. So basically, while recording this pre-recording content, I am creating my personal lighting work just like how I do in my usual days on a fly. So you will see a real-time update from myself. And the other part will be I'm encourage you whether you get a couple of assets already, or it can be your half going environment if you are an environment guy. It can be, you have cool effects and just, find something on Fab, whatever you feel you like. So let's all do some Lego shopping. And I am not gonna show people like I feed you the number, you push the button, because that's the least ideal teaching method, which I'm super against it. Perhaps that's why I never pass my mathematics exam, because I never remember formulas. But yeah, I'm just saying, like, I'm gonna show you the creative and thinking progress, and I encourage everybody go with your own show, because I'm gonna help you if you stuck. And the last thing I want is you repeat something I do. I'll show you all of the art and design secrets and decisions, and whichever, if you have an issue, I'm gonna hold your hand, go there. But please find your own journey.
That is a very good way of putting it. I would say that if this course included modeling everything from scratch as well, this would be a very long course. All
Yeah,
of
that's
us would
not
be
gonna
here
happen.
for a
Yeah,
very, yeah,
that's not gonna happen.
it would be very, very time consuming. We have a few more questions coming in. I'm just gonna scroll back to the top. Is there a cap on the max number of participants? My friend cannot connect. Oh, there shouldn't be actually. Uh,
Yeah,
if
maybe
they're
there's
unable
somebody is waiting, or they need admin to let them
to,
in.
not really,
Yeah,
no.
I don't meet any admin thing, so I think they could able to join. Yeah, they should able to join.
Yeah, there shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Do send another message if your friend is still stuck outside. We'll see if we can share a new link for them to join. Next question is, what kind of software do you use to light? Is everything in Unreal or are there other softwares?
Well, I do use other engines, but for this course, yes, we will all using Unreal, and we're not gonna go backlight because we use the latest graphic technology. There is only one constraint, guys, you might encounter when you choose which version of Unreal, because I know you probably want to go to the latest. But for example, when you go to Fab and you are trying to, shop some asset, or you just try to fetch something you already had, just check the limitation of your environment package, because that will be the own income stream to, define which version you're gonna go. And also, I'm not gonna, I will teaching in very vanilla way. So we might introduce some plugins, but we're not gonna go crazy with like still under experimental plugins such as Megalight because they're not production ready. And all I'm gonna share with you is actually skills and experience you will be highly applicable. Say you find a job work as a lighter like myself, so things gonna stay very vanilla, but we do use real time, so no baking, no pre-bake, and I'm not suggest you go that way just because the technology is not like up to date.
Just want to quickly
Mm.
reiterate myself for the new people who have just joined. Don't worry about the recording for this event. This event is being recorded, and once it's done, we will be sending the recording to you. So don't worry about it, about the recording. We got it. Going back to the questions, what are the biggest similarities and differences between physical or stage lighting and 3D lighting?
That's a very interesting question. Thank you. So I would say perhaps because I come from the other own lighting design, because art is not a manufacturer. Art is about executing your idea and executing well, right? So I would say PBR or PBL in terms of shader and lighting, they are a very good start point because they gonna, those rules gonna guide you to define both material and lighting, right? So it's just like building a house. We're not gonna have amazing interior without a solid structure. So consider they are backbones of whatever you are doing. But the most important part is you need, as a good artist, you need to understand the role, have enough practice to see the potential of how to break the role perfectly for your own, like, creative idea and the execution part. So consider that's a must know and a backbone of your project. But from there, we go further, and that is the fun part for creative start.
Um, So again, moving on to the next question. I see there's quite a few questions coming in, guys, just so you know. At one point, we will make sure to get all the questions answered, but at one point, just to make sure the event is going and that we also have our scheduled demo presented to you guys, I may stop asking the audience questions at one point and get back to it towards the end of the event. But we're gonna do just a couple more now. Um, can you also elaborate later of how lighting is different when we are working with, let's say, a realistic or a stylized environment?
Yeah, well, I would say that's a very broad question, but I can give you like a halfway start point because the project I'm gonna present later is actually the very project I'm gonna use for the course content. But I would say since this project is still under making, so it's not finished yet, so I will give you like a couple of tests and example. But in general, still go back to our previous point is we need to set up everything correctly and standard at the start point, and later we push it. But how we push it is up to the project. So that's why I'm saying this is a very broad question. Yeah.
Let's just do two more and then we'll move on. Will I be using GI or light baking techniques?
I believe we already answered that. So
So
we're
that,
gonna use
yeah.
real time. Yeah.
And the second one is, suppose a level feels too dark for gameplay readability, but increasing exposure kills the mood. How would you solve this without adding new lights?
All right. If I may say, that is because you're not doing the exposure right. If we handle everything correctly, then we shouldn't have that problem.
Okay, I'm gonna stop with the audience questions here. I will definitely get back to it towards the second half of the event. Moving on, some more questions. Maria, what's one new tool, workflow, or like a lighting idea that's really exciting to you right now?
Right, I'd say, well, for workflow wise, I am really looking forward the DLSS become more, production ready because for now they're still like heavily related or mounted with NVIDIA hardware. So if we have more advanced and more general denoiser, that will be a huge boost. And art-wise, I haven't tried with Megalight yet. I only went through like all of the tech stuff, but if the Megalight become like production ready, I think I could unlock more of my stage tricks because we do hundreds of light rigging and move them around. That's like everyday life back to the theaters. But in Unreal, we can do that. It's way easier, but the performance is not there yet. So I would say hopefully they can make them more useful.
That's very interesting. Since we're already talking about lighting in games, I have noticed that lighting, it plays like a key component when it comes to evoking emotions in people, because when you light things a certain way, it has that certain feel to it. And that's what contributes to the player feeling more immersed in the game. So in your experience, what separates good lighting from something that is truly very cinematic?
Right, I would say, I think nowadays when people say, this looks cinematic, basically they're saying the contrast is very nice. So we're talking about a rich detail and a good compositing here. So I would say standard or like a good lighting, I think I don't really have like a big following about, everything must be super cinematic. For example, if this is a gameplay map, in most of my shipping title, they are actually FPS games. They're the least forgiven or in terms of performance, and also the least forgiven in terms of visibility, like lack of visibility. So in general, I'd say, first of all, if the level lighting and the cinematic lighting, they are in game, say we don't have any transition in between. If they move in between each smoothly, I would consider that is very nice. And visual wise, simply I'd say no matter how beautiful the light result it is, and visually, if it doesn't serve the narrative or if it doesn't serve the gameplay, then I think that is like less ideal. Because I remember years ago I played a game. I actually don't remember what game it is. It's like a really famous big IP because it's quite popular. So what happened is there is a conversation thing, and I supposed to extract certain information during that cut thing. The problem is they got a really nice chandelier in the same, and that chandelier has been lighted properly with all of the dining table being set with like this banquet. So all the time I was looking at that table. It's like a very nice table. It's very stylish, posh. And then I absolutely ignored the conversation because those two characters just sitting there, and well, of course, there's conversation dialogue is going through, and the camera barely moves. The camera moves like an archivize video, so they're like a very slow panning. And in the end of the day, I'm like, can we just finish this? And then only end of the conversation, I'm like, no way. I have no idea what I'm supposed to do.
It so basically it all works in sync, and even no matter if even if the lighting is, like you mentioned, spectacular, if it's not
Yeah,
serving the
they need
game, the
the right
narrative,
focus. Yeah, just
yeah.
don't give me a chandelier and let me forget about what I actually needs to do.
And now when it comes to learning lighting, one, is this course designed even for people who are absolute beginners when it comes to lighting? And also, when you teach students, in your experience, what are some of the misconceptions you see that students have when they first start learning how to light for games?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you, Yashin. So the thing is, I would say for teaching, or like your first question is about like how do I demonstrate it, and is it good for beginners, right? So guys, I will be very honest. I hope everybody knows where is what at Unreal. That's my only requirement. So for example, you know how to drop a light into Unreal, you know where to find the poster process, and you know how to decide, like, get your stuff into from Fab to Unreal. And also you understand how important to start with a good project setting. So that's all. And I know most of our guys, they're coming from FX or environment, like we talked about them before. So I don't think you will have any problem. But please be aware, this course is heavily focusing learning on lighting, and it's not only like I'm gonna show you what to do, because if you're watching my pre-record content, I know like a lot of great mentors at our school, they do like a 2 hours, 3 hour for each session. Actually, well, I myself is an artist, so my concentration level is relatively low, let's say that way. So I will keep my course recording very efficient, because one thing I feel very draggy when I was learning Unreal is I followed so many great people on YouTube. It's all free. Like I thank them like till these days, because they showed me so many tricks and detail. But one thing we couldn't avoid is sitting there for hours looking for the artist moving or tweaking the assets around. So in my pre-recorded content, I completely cut them off. I will give you a few clips, say like there is some exact operation you need to do, such as, change the type of light, changing the luminance unit of the light. You will have that, but you will never sit there for 2 hours seeing me invite a light, rotating around, place them. I do that in my spare time. But what I do is at each session, I will show you the like upgraded version of this very project step by step, and I'm gonna walk you through like a deduction. Consider you're going to a museum and I'm the guide, and let's heavy focus. Don't do anything, and please try not to skip it, because the content is purposely selected for you to save your time and for maximum the learning efficiency. Because like I said, I am an artist myself. I can't sit there for 3 hours. That's gonna kill me. So yeah, I would say this is a very efficient course, but also to make it actually work for you guys, you need to do the hard work with me. So watch it and imply those theory in practice with me step by step. We're gonna get in there.
I also want to just quickly add on to that because I've been a student at Vertex myself. I did the environment art course. The what Maria said does obviously adding to that, like she said, you guys need to put in some amount of effort from your end as well, because it is a two-way traffic to get the best out of the course. You guys, one, not only have to watch a pre-recorded course, also that you will be given like milestones that you can achieve every single week. Now, this is not to like put pressure on you. This is not like university or school where you're like, you have to do this, turn in the assignment or else. Like, it's not that. The whole purpose of this is designed to help you learn, because everything that you see in the pre-recorded content, everything you learn in the live sessions, the whole purpose of those assignments is for you to take what you learned and put it into practice. And if you run into problems, if you run up into hurdles, you can always go ask your mentor. You can always ask your peers. That support group is also always there. I'm speaking from personal experience. I didn't even have a background in games. I literally come from a background in journalism and mass communication. So that is to highlight and drive my point home that even if you don't have experience, you will have that kind of support where you can learn and grow and pick things up very quickly if you put in the time and effort from your end as well. Now, going back to some of the questions, Maria, when you look at some of the best lighting artists you have worked with, what do they all have in common?
Oh, that's an interesting one. So I would say, imagine you look at some really beautiful lighting, and the setup is actually fairly simple but very neat. So I'd say use a lot of vanilla version, and first of all get the contrast right. And at the beginning, I don't think we even need to like consider the color. First of all, like you will see me doing my first pass in the pre-record content. I am only talk about one very boring thing, and I almost brainwashed everybody in that recording. Says like get your light ratio and the contrast level right, because without that we can't add in color. And because I come in from theater and photography, so I think I actually most of the lighting work is actually coming from the movie gaffers or director of cinematography. So, well, Dan Lotson is my idol, so he shooted Frankenstein, that's his latest, and Shape of Water, so all of the beautiful stuff. You might find like a very strong influence of Guillermo del Toro and Dan Lotson's work in my personal work, because that's something like the style-wise I absolutely love. And also I love like musical, so it's very expressive, but on the stage when they actually doing the basic lighting block up is all about, how strong the key light should be. Can people actually see by far? And can all of these set later will like custom giant things, the set designs, they're gonna behave like nice and coherently under the certain part of lighting. So it's like it's actually good lighting work. You don't need fancy plugin, but you need to get the backbone right and also keep everything simple. Like later, if you saw my lighting coverage, you will see with real time because lumen is very expensive. So usually I will never use more than two light to cover one certain area and make sure they get them like, with even coverage. Same story with Shadowcaster, use with caution, even with these days, because if you're in a production, if you got too much Shadowcaster, your tech artist gonna be after you. Do I have tech artist here? Yeah, raise your hand.
Oh, I see one. Yeah. So it's to put it to summarize, it's something along the lines of it's more about having a clear understanding, having solid foundations and clear cut skills as opposed to the tools. Because if you have a
Yeah.
good foundation, good understanding of the concepts, you're able to execute a lot better, even if you have simpler tools.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, because I'd say like it's all about, because to me it's like every day, you guys will feel it once you join the course. We drop one light and we think about hundreds of things. Yeah, it's like it's absolutely overthinking, absolutely overstressed. Welcome to my day.
And speaking of starting to light, what are some of the most common mistakes you have seen students make when it comes to when they first start lighting a scene?
Right. So first one I would say is your art direction or like your ideal. Because I know I every time I teaching at Vertex, by the way, guys, I start teaching at Vertex 7 years ago. So it's really exciting come back with old friends. Um every class I will have one or two student. Nothing against them, they're super lovely, but they're telling me, Maria, I want to light cyberpunk. Or like, oh Maria, I want a neon light. So guys, this is gonna be like a cold water area, but I am not allow anyone to start a neon thing in my class because you do not want to confuse yourself with brightness and color energy. I really need to show you guys how the energy conservation actually works because you get more color in real life, you get less brightness. And the only thing well against that role is LED neon. And I have no way to explain you how LED neon works without show you the physical lighting first. So bear with me. And yes, nobody is allowed to doing a neon sign because that's gonna break you.
This is sounding sort of similar to in environment art. Like I've seen, even when I started, I approached my mentor going like, hey, I want to do this really cool hero prop. And my mentor was like, too early for that. Let's start with the basics. Let's
I
start with
agree with
something
them.
simple.
Yeah, you don't have to be simple. We can light, you can light a thing with purely color temperature and all of your lights are white. You're gonna get an amazing thing, trust me. Yeah. But it goes to neon line just because it's a topic with multiple layer of problem solving and it's gonna slow you down for progress your understanding because the this entire bootcamp, why we call it bootcamp, not like a long-term course, is because I also purposely designed to use the least amount of time to talk about the theory, conflict in practice, and throw you into it because you will facing a lot of problem. But when you come back to me, I think that is the right moment for the next session around each course unit because now you will actually know what I'm talking about because you already has a problem.
Now, when it comes to the lighting process, when you first start lighting a new scene, what are the first things you look for? Is it composition, value structure, the mood? Where do you really start?
Right, so there are two stage of start a project. First of all, if it's for my personal work, of course, ideas. It's like I only start something with an exciting idea. So sometimes, because like I said, I'm never good at modeling. If there is something amazing and fab, either it's monthly free or on sale, I will fetch that and then think about it to develop a topic later. But once I've found this idea, then I'm gonna start think about something very practical. So two parts. For visual is find a very simple and high level art direction reference. Could be anything. Movie, shop window street, really, yeah. Or somebody like your friends took a photo, like anything you will believe it's gonna keep exciting you for a couple of months, because that's how long I need to finish like a personal work. And the other part would be a bit of house clean. Do you have the asset? Do you have the correct version of Unreal? Is there any plugin you want to try out? So it's like visually, if you have the idea and don't change it, stick with it, only make them better or elaboration it. So usually I have one or two image as my initial idea. Then I start my house clean stuff, and after that there will be about probably 2 to 3 weeks for doing nothing. But whenever I'm showering on the way, like I think about that project whenever I'm not working, because at work I can't think about it. I have to fixing something else. So yeah, because I myself, I even till these days, 14 years in this industry, which is crazy, but I feel like I still love what I do, and I get really excited when I have a new idea. It's like you're finding a new toy. It's like you made the commitment. I'm gonna, make a new clothes, or like it's just like something you set up a flag and you have to finish it. So don't abandon it. Yeah, keep the idea, stick with it, and check the practical side. Yeah, that's the three part I need.
So essentially, like just base foundation would be just having a good reference that will keep you inspired, that will keep you excited for like the time period it's going to take for you to finish the project from scratch.
Yeah, indeed.
That's again that I've noticed that is a common thing that runs in art in general, be it lighting art, environment, props, character. It just seems to run common that you need to have good references to get your work going. Now, when it comes to storytelling through lighting, how do you guide a player's attention, a player's emotion simply through light?
Yeah, I think that is the it's a collaboration with the set design. So which is why in our unit one, if you guys read my website now and read through the course curriculum, so that is why I placed the set design or like stage design as part of the introduction in unit one. Because well, if it's at work, we don't really have to worry about this, because we have game designer, we have environment artist who already lay the layer. But if it's for your personal work and we are talking about something groundbreaking, then yes, think about your major point of interest, think about your time of day, and also think about what type of mood we wanna address in this very piece. Is it positive? Is it like, creepy or eerie? Because that will, your idea will again define you the set and also the mood of the set. Another thing I will keep, you guys will hear me remind like tireless, it's scales. Because don't use like tons of small stuff in a wide thing, because scale wise your set doesn't powerful enough to create the silhouette. So it's more about how we read the shape in the interior or exterior, and then how we use the light as a brush to emphasize or deflect the shape. So it's a visual game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can, depending on how you light a map, you can kill the player easily or let them survive quite a while.
Um, and since we are talking about again, continuing on this, when I'm sure as an artist you have had your fair share of hurdles, difficulties. What is the most challenging lighting setup that you have ever tackled, and how did you solve the
Oh,
problem that you were running into?
yeah, because I wasn't sure like if we may reach this topic. Actually, yeah, I get this topic. Okay, right. Thank you, Yasin. I'm gonna drop this level, very level. It's not from me. It's from a lovely YouTuber. So this is actually one of my earliest work project. That is Far Cry Primal. So first of all, Dunia is the Ubisoft engine. So it's an in-house engine, and the logic works very close like CryEngine 2. So for any of us, if you ever touched CryEngine, you will know it stores all of the time of day. It's like on a curve. So we have tons of dots on the curve. Each dot, it contains the same amount of data of our post processing on Unreal. So whoever names that engine CryEngine, is a genius, because at work it really makes me cry. Yeah. So yeah, but the thing is, why this level is very difficult is because it's a flying mission. It has like you actually bypassed 6 POI with no transition. So basically, how I handled it is I have, of course, the different sound angle, but actually it's like the sound angle will change by time because it's a real-time engine, so I wouldn't have the shadow update issue. But to balancing them with 6 different mood under limited amount of lighting option, because it's an exterior, it flies, it has vegetation in what 2000, gosh, it's 10 years ago, so it's like 2015 or 16. Yeah, I think it's 2016. That's when Far Cry was out. But that was like I need to make sure all of the transition goes in between the levels smoothly without too much post process boost because we couldn't afford it. And that's one of the most challenging level, but it trains me so much. I did a couple of overtime, unfortunately, but after handled that map, I kind of feel like anything like exterior transition wise, I think I made more mistake than most of my fellow lighters. So sometimes I feel less scared when people tell me, "Oh, this game we have like time of day change." I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, sure. We just need to, do not go too crazy and test something at once." In general, if you made enough mistake, um, I believe you know a little bit better than the others. That's my user experience.
I think that's a very good way to put it, because from my personal experience, it's the same thing. When you make
Yeah,
mistakes, you just remember that better because you remember what
absolutely.
it was like making that mistake. And it's just, it's okay, I suppose, to make mistakes. A lot of the time, some of us, when we make mistakes, we really panic. We're like, oh my God, it's all
Yeah,
over.
don't
I've
panic.
messed up.
Yeah, yeah, don't panic.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, it's just like I shared a lot of stupid mistake and my personal experience in my pre-recording content. Even it's 1 hour or 1 hour and a half of each, just in case anyone fell asleep. I told some really bad joke over there, so excuse me for that. Yeah.
I would, if anything, I would just encourage people to make mistakes because you will learn faster. Most of the time, people try to figure out how to learn faster, productivity hacks or something. I'm like, make mistakes. Genuinely, just go for
Yeah,
it.
because usually I would say like I never get like this mindset is like, oh, what's the tricks? Because I don't think a trick will become a trick when you're, because how we gonna develop a trick is usually we have to dodge some issue, right? We don't want that trouble, or we just like we don't have enough time, so perhaps we just budget it. But in general, I'd say yeah, try it more and you will know. It's like I don't know, because for once I got lots of girls in my class and we were just joking. It's like trying the exterior lighting setup, especially for skylight. It's like trying up different foundation. Really, unless that thing is on your face, you don't know if it's gonna work or not.
That is very relatable.
Right?
Also, and since we are since this whole event is also partly about the boot camp, now I do want to ask, how is this boot camp different from, just learning lighting simply through
Mhm.
YouTube?
Yeah, because I also nerd like lots of basic and startup from those great YouTubers. And the reason, because for at some point I was thinking about start a YouTube channel, but because I don't have the time right yet, because I spend most of the time to record the course and doing like other stuff, my personal work. But in general, I'd say, I think, again, because I coming from the other end of the tunnel, so to me, Unreal or CryEngine, it's a tool. So it's not like, oh, we're teaching lighting in Unreal or we're teaching lighting in CryEngine to me. But to me, I'd say I'd rather show you guys as a user, like I come as a user of Unreal Engine. So of course I know like some certain issues tech wise, but what fascinates me with lighting, even like for games or movie, is no difference. It's about, we have a certain visual vocabulary which will influence the player psychologically, but it's really depending on how we understand the art direction or how we're gonna deliver our own mood. Because guys, if you read my art station, you will see most of my personal work is actually coming from the inspiration is coming from my life experience or something I really up to. And I think as an artist, that is what fascinates me. So you might learn like, practical knowledge from great YouTubers. There are a lot of them. I think tech-wise, they're way stronger than myself, honestly. But where I coming from, I think my experience is all about to leverage whatever you know and you have in the short amount of time. But let's try to like conduct a symphony. So I would love to know everybody slightly more in my class because by doing so, like how I do my mentorship, like I will see your advantage is like because originally I born in China, guys. So in our Oriental culture, we say like those little animals, we don't have like sharp fangs or sharp claws, but everybody had their own trick to survive. So I think my creative concept is more or less like that. I want to know what you're good at, and I'm gonna help you how to put them together. I'm sure everybody has some talent there. Yeah.
It's basically just knowing your students a lot better, and that helps you tailor how you teach, like
Yeah,
making it a bit
exactly.
more personalized to them.
Yeah, because I think that's the only possible way to like how I designed this bootcamp. It's not like copy paste or like ask everybody to mimicking what I do because you get the practice, but not the idea. I want to teach idea. I know it's difficult, but yeah, I'm confident on that because so far seems so good. People still come to the class, right?
And this could just be me, but I think one more advantage is just getting answers to your questions very quickly. Because I've been on that end where I watch a YouTube tutorial, I'll not understand something, I'll leave a comment, hey, how do I fix this? I'll wait for like months on end before somebody finds my
I don't
comment
even
and
expect
response.
that. I never do like replies, like, because I just feel like they may not have the time, and I don't expect the people. I mean, they already done something for free. That's really like respectful. Yeah.
I mean, that is one of my favorite things about Vertex is I was genuinely amazed at how quick I was getting responses. Sometimes within the same day, my mentor, they are the mentors at Vertex, guys. I'm just saying, ridiculously generous with their time. They are very generous with the knowledge and with their time and with their support. It's like probably one of my favorite things about the school. Um, moving on. Uh, now by the end of since this bootcamp is 10 weeks long, now by the end of 10 weeks, what kind of, let's just say, transformation do you usually see with your students in their work and in their mindset?
Right. So there is a little exhibition from my previous class years ago. I still save them as my little souvenir over there. So yeah, I think if you have it, we can drop them into the chat. But yeah,
Yeah,
if you don't, I can drop him later. But in
yeah.
general, I'd say, guys, this is like 16 weeks. But in general, yeah, our course is like we have 8 unit, and at the first 4 unit, like first 2 unit, which is first 4 weeks, you will feel a bit more chill because at that point we are talking about idea gathering, and we will have like online session once a week. But be prepared since week 3 because around week 3, I expect everybody already understand, the physics stuff, all of the boring regulations, and from them we're gonna start doing a little bit like a goofy stuff. So you will see me suddenly goes very crazy, start changing ideas and changing the set and using 3 different lighting unit in one go and tell you this is fine. And the same gonna looks quite nice. And even more, they're gonna start goes more stylish. But I will expect you to work with me. So virtually, I am creating my personal work, and since all you guys spend the time and money, I will expect everybody do the same. So we will have some hardcore like feedback since week 4, and from there we will go into more like hands-on stuff. So most of our online session will be a Q&A formula, and usually at Vertex I will encourage everybody. See, we have a online session on Saturday. Be sure start drop your stuff before, like, after Wednesday-ish, because in general when I'm teaching at Vertex, I treat like a friends group chat. So I will have a look every day. If I have the time, I will get back to you. But even if I don't, because some of you guys might need paint over, which is very likely because for the final polish, because paint over is the best idea. Because as an artist, I love talking with graphics rather than word, and I don't want you to spend your 2 hours to rate my very broken writing English test all. So that's not gonna happen. I will just give you a paint over and give you a couple of reference if I know where, and we start from there. Because at work, guys, this is how my everyday job goes as well. Because expecting, art director, they taking care of every department. If you're lucky, but before COVID, we all work on site, right? Even we need a conversation, my art director might not have enough time, he might come over in between his meeting. I have 10 minutes. So usually I will drop a chat in my morning, says, hey, this is a feedback. How are you feeling about it? If he gives me very clear feedback, consider I'm lucky, I can get the job done within a day or two. But sometimes some art directors, they're really lovely people, but the way or the style they give your feedback. See, if I used to work with one art director with very strong fine art background, but he is when he talks is very artistic. I would say it's like very abstractive. Like even I'm confident with my English level right now, I feel it's very abstractive. So usually I will drop back a reference, could be whatsoever. There's once I dropped him like a picture I snapped at Waitrose because we were talking about like supermarket lighting. So yeah, so I went to Waitrose, snap a picture. I'm like, is this what you want? And she's like, maybe a little bit darker. Then I just adjust the Photoshop and tell me, is it dark enough? Then he says like, that's too dark. So I just like, I stopped it. I'm like, you now tell me, like you do the Photoshop and let me know how we exactly, because you're gonna save yourself with lots of forward and backward and less hassle as well, especially if you are just to say, I wish everybody, if you are looking for lighting as a job after the course, let's build you a groundbreaking portfolio to find your first job. But your first job is the most stressful job. That's my experience. So you will know, like, let's do a little bit of mock-up, like how work environment will goes. And even like if you messed up, you didn't achieve the first feedback, this is fine. This happens every day with real game developers. Don't worry about it.
Now, I mean, this is also, I guess, I would say as an add-on, something I would say students learn at Vertex is just to simply communicate their ideas better. Now, obviously, we don't teach public communication, but it's just more on when you're talking from one professional to another, how do you very clearly convey the edits you want, or hey, can you give me a clear feedback? Those are things you also learn at the school, because I have seen some of my classmates, they were very, very introverted. Despite being that level of introverted, they also learned because they spoke, they asked, eventually through practice, they have learned. And one of my classmates, he
Indeed.
now works, like one of my class, some of the people I know actually at Vertex, they're all now working in the AAA industry. They're working at playground games. One is in a studio called Pixel Mafia. They're all AAA studios. So yeah, now for the bit that I'm quite sure a lot of people are waiting for, the live demo. If you are
Um,
ready,
yeah, we can start sharing the
yeah.
live demo. So yeah, give me a second, guys. Yeah. Okay, so excuse me because I'm using real-time lighting and my lovely 4090 might start to join the choir. I hope not.
Guys,
Yeah, I hope not. But yeah, let's
yeah.
see.
I also want to mention, guys, if it's looking a little laggy, it's because of Zoom. I've hosted a fair number of these events to know that Zoom does not support
Yeah,
that
I'm
well
gonna go
sometimes.
with the content only. So guys, please let me know if it's working. It should work now because it's only this very screen.
Yeah, you can feel free to pop it in the chat if you can see the screen, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, I see some people confirming. Cool.
Okay, good. So it's working, right, guys? Because when I'm sharing, Zoom just hide the chatting window, and I don't know where to find it. I can see all of you guys, but not the chatting window. Okay, if it's working, then I'm good to go, I guess. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, right, guys. Actually, I'm gonna quickly doing a stop sharing and do it again because I want to show everybody the reference board a little bit. So you will, once I love explain the origin and then you will know where it's coming from. So that will be easier. All right, I'm gonna
While
do
you're pulling that up, I just want
yeah.
to let people know I have not forgotten about the remaining audience questions. We'll get back to that after the
All right,
demo.
chat. Okay, now I can see the chat. Thank you very much. Okay, guys, let me know if you can see my pure ref board. All good?
Yep,
Right,
I can
lovely.
see it. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So, yeah, this is the current growing app mood board for this course. So I start with, I talked about asset gathering. So you will see those are the asset. I'm not sure if this guy is still free, but anyway, when I get it, it was free. So it's like, asset gathering and replaced it original idea. By the way, because because I come back to speak to our friends at Vertex around November. So sorry, and in October. So by then, it's like I know I will surely miss the Halloween. So this idea completely is coming from about Christmas. So that's why you see a very festival looks train station. And those photos, they are actually taken by myself. It's London last Christmas. And this is what I said, reference gathering. And at that moment, I don't even know what I am gonna to do with those photos. But I mean, it's nice. I mean, it's nicely raining, and we got those RTX reflection, right? Might just capture it. So yeah, this is what I got. And all of those references, they are actually, because I didn't gather them like in a day or two, you can absolutely tell that. So this is like at work, if I'm working on one certain level, I'll just keep this reference growing. And initially, my idea was coming from the movie Hugo, very lovely cinematography. But yeah, Hugo was my inspiration. And because I was re-watching it for fun, and then I got this idea. So this is basically, I will continue expanding it. You will see like a lot of comments, but guys, actually, because this is my personal work, those notes, unfortunately, I have to be very honest, it's not even for you guys, it's for myself. But because I am building it with like everything like on a fly, so when you jump into the course, you will see like why and how those idea comes up, and also a bit of like tech stuff because we will have both tech and art in this mood board. And now I think I'm sharing screen, but let me know if you cannot see my Unreal window, okay? I hope it's working, but if not, I will stop sharing and do it again. Can you see Unreal?
I can see it. I'm gonna
All right,
wait for folks
lovely.
to pop it in
Yeah,
chat. Okay.
great. Thanks.
Guys, just if you can pop it in. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So I'm gonna go just the full screen, simply easier for everyone. So this level is not finished. It's far from it. And I start working on this level around like I think it's middle or early October because the train station you've already see, so it's absolutely empty. So originally I only have the shell of the train station and all of the set design is slowly expanded by myself. But for now, I am at the certain stage, like after the dressing, I'm actually recording the local lighting idea. And remember, we talked about the lighting density, right? So you will see this is what I'm talking about, like one light one area. So it's like one light and then they just cover two or three area. So if I give you the bird view, you're not gonna see crazy lighting density because let's all be honest, Unreal couldn't afford it. So this is a bit funny during this entire like a creative progress because what I am doing right now is I feel like I'm working on a cooking program, guys, because I'm like, I'm gonna work a little bit and then record and explain to you how it works. And then, yeah, so it's just like the lighting density is like we will avoid like a lot of lighting overlap. Basically, if I saw you have certain area covered more than two light or more than three light, I'm gonna tell you to clean them up. And also, I got a couple of light examples like how the area light gonna work and how the spotlight gonna work in the same area. So you will see like a different lighting approach, and I will leave this to your call. So for now, I'd say this project is like 30% down, so it's far from it. But I did all of the dressing. I'm gonna explain to you why, for example, why we have white snowboard here and why we have a black piano over here in the course. If I go to the pure lighting mode, you will see I talked about that I don't like a crazy color at the beginning, right? Because if you see the thing, you're actually seeing a lot of color together here because we got environment, we got texture, but light-wise, since I am in a very early stage, so everything is super simple. I only have two type of color in my lighting thing, that is warm and cold light. And let me switch back this to show you like the lighting setup. So if I,
There's a quick question in the
yeah,
chat. Someone's asking,
mm-hmm,
is lighting density when
yeah.
lights overlap?
Right. This, yeah, exactly. I guess what you mean is actually, is this light get more expensive when the light overlaps? That's indeed. So in general, whether you are using real-time lighting or pre-bake or hybrid, I would say in general avoid like a cross like overlap, because in real life, if we got multiple lights and we lap them together, we're gonna decrease the color information, and because your brightness gonna take everything. And also avoid using super bright light color, because that's gonna chew in your texture away. For example, imagine if I go a super red light over here, this red couch will no longer be red, right? And we have lots of, yeah, we have a lot of color variations in this thing. But also, for example, why I have like a white curtain over here, and imagine if I have a black curtain in this area, and even with this very gentle light covers in this area, it wouldn't reflect anything, because look at the board. So I'm gonna turn it on and off. So most of my lighting design is very practical. Perhaps that's because I eventually had this hobby, because I come in from field lighting. Because in real life, there are way more issues to consider, such as fire control people in the theaters and the overheat issue from the overly dense lighting fixture. So I think in 3D we are already quite blessed, but just don't go too crazy, because more light, more problem, and it's gonna confuse more. So yeah, I'm about to stop the sharing right now, because this is not finished, and in my entire career, this is the first time I showing anything publicly without finished it. All right, I'll stop the sharing right now. Yeah, thank you. Back to you, Yasin.
Okay. I see. Okay. Riddle is saying one of my supervisors once said that blending lights together sort of moves it towards a flat grayish zone, uh, uh resulting making your scene break, resultantly making your scene break the composition.
Yeah. In general, yes, because if you drop too much light, it's gonna flat your thing. So yeah, it's pretty good said, well said. Because in general, why like if you search any studio lighting, it's gonna teach you, double point light or 3 point light as a standard. Because if you are after shape up a character or an object, then we're not supposed to drop a giant light. Yeah, in the thing. Yeah.
I'm going to now go back to some of the audience questions. We are going to get as many of them answered as possible. Actually, I'm going to aim for getting all of them answered. We're going to go back up to the chat because I remember there were quite a few up that I had stopped at. This one we had answered, this one also. Um, okay, so yeah. Do you exclusively work with Unreal or do you also use Unity?
Oh, we covered that topic in the beginning, I
Yeah.
think, a bit. Yeah, because, well, in my early career, I actually worked with Unity more, but now, like, at work, I'm mostly using Unreal and CryEngine, back to Crytek. But yes, I worked with Unity before, but preferably, I will advise everyone using Unreal, just because I know Unity now has the asset and the asset library, but to me it's like, again, back to efficiency. And also, if you encountered something with the same tool, your peer and everybody else will able to share their experience. So at end of the day, you learn more efficiently. So let's all like standardize. Our tool will be Unreal, because I wouldn't, realistic speaking, I wouldn't have the time to give a separate feedback inside Unity. Yeah.
Next question is, should we have Unreal open during the lecture to follow along?
Well, I'm gonna telling you to do so, like in the rear part, but I would say the good learning pace, because this is not a watching and pushing button teaching standard. Please spend some time patiently, like finish the content. It's only like it's no more than 1 hour and a half maximum of each session, and you only need to focus that amount. But if you execute something, for example exposure, and I recorded how I do exposure in the video, so you are highly advised to watch how I do it and imply that to your own level. And if you encounter any issue, you can more than feel free to record, like let's say within a minute video, and drop this into our chat, because what you encounter your peers might encounter as well, so we don't have to repeat it, and in the end of the day we get more questions answered.
Yeah, I forgot to mention this. So normally during these courses, the entire cohort is divided into smaller groups so that there's a lot more one-on-one interaction with the mentor who is teaching you. And again, there's a group chat where you can ask all your questions. And also, while there's obviously pre-recorded content that you're expected to watch and learn before the live sessions are also recorded. So let's just say you feel like you wanted to re-watch or relearn whatever it was that was taught in the live session, you will have access to that as well.
Yes, you
Um,
should have the recording. Yeah.
yeah. Next question is, what would you consider the most difficult aspect of your work as a lighting artist?
Depends. Actually, I would say at work is always like, the battle between quality and timing. Because I actually, as a lighter, I don't really encounter much tech difficulty at work, just because, well, when I was still a regular, I have like my great supervisor and tech artist to help me. Now working as a principal, I of course, I'm the person who makes the call with most of the workflow, but usually I will work with my tech artist if I am unsure, or like especially in terms certain stability of some tool. But in personal work, I think that's more difficult because it's all about planning. It's like you got to know what exactly you want, so we do not waste a lot of time to making circles. I believe like all of us had that feeling. We find a light at the beginning, we drop things into the sim, and eventually when the more light drops in, we get lost. And at some point, we just like, I'm gonna drop this guy here, and hopefully it's looking good. And guess what? 99% it doesn't. So I guess planning and stay with your idea is the most important part for like a personal creative works. Yeah.
Um, the next question is, uh, I know this is a real-time lighting workshop, but in general, for baked lighting, would you recommend baking lights in the game engine or in the modeling software like Blender or Maya, like to bake it onto the model's texture?
Well, I'm not a modeling expert, but as a lighter, I would say at this point you probably not only like not will go to any baked lighting, because baked light map and baked texture is completely different concept. Because in general, back to the pre-baked days or hybrid days, the most heavy like lighting related texture is either AO or normal map. For those, yes, you do need coming from software. There's no way Unreal gonna do that for you. But for now, I mean, AO is kind of get replaced if we're going up to 5.5, because the RTX DI is in and we're using contact shadow instead. Well, it's very expensive as usual, nothing new. But I'd say, at these days, first of all, I don't think I'm the best person to answer the question. But secondly, as a lighter, I don't think like we need to bring anything from the modeling pre-bake unless you need, normal map or stuff like that. Yeah.
Um, Again, then moving on to the next one, which is, can you please elaborate a little on your workflow for achieving painterly composition through lighting, especially if the art direction calls for high contrast and controlled saturation?
I see. I think that question is very specific, so I'm gonna pause it over here because usually I answer this type of question in my lighting consultation. Yeah.
Okay. We have quite a few questions, so I'm just gonna try and get
Yeah,
as many
please
as
go
we
for it.
can. Yeah.
Thank you, Yash. Yeah.
There's a two-part question. What's the psychology that goes in making something visually beautiful and something that logically makes sense? And the second part is, let's just go with part one and then we can go to the part two of the question.
Yeah, that's very
So,
philosophic, I would say, this type
yeah.
of question. But in general, I'd say depending on who owns the project. artistically, because you are talking about a decision. So if it's for work, I would say regardless our own preference as an artist to save your life, so that's your career, follow in the art direction. That's all. And for personal work, I'd say it's really up to you, because if we before you start the work as an artist, I never take feedback halfway, especially artistic decision for my personal work. That's why, like I was joking, I never show my work until it's finished, because I love asking my fellow artists feedback when I'm finished a piece, because there's no way I'm gonna going back and I will learn from it from people's perspective. But when you are actually deliver the art creative part, especially for lighting, because we already do not have the control of the shape. We have the control on the material, of course, and the layer of the thing, of course. But in general, I'd say stick with your idea. And if you are going to more stylized stuff, set up your physics base correct, then go really crazy. And but if you are going with something super realistic, stick with this idea. Don't let people tell you halfway, oh, this is too realistic, this is boring, because I myself be very careful to give feedback halfway, unless I know what they're doing. See, my students, I give feedback, or my friends told me about this project or what he or she wants. Otherwise, if I do get lots of random, like Discord friends, like they ask me for feedback, people will just drop me an image and ask, hey, give me some feedback. Usually I'll say this is less professional, because I don't know what they want. So as an artist, of course, I can give you the feedback from my understanding, but my understanding perhaps is not what they want. So usually I'm like, can you elaborate a little bit? Otherwise, I can't say anything.
I mean, some of it is also just dependent on the end goal. If you're trying to make a professional portfolio piece so that you can get hired, that's like feedback for that is completely separate. If you're doing something that's just a personal portfolio piece that you just want to present on ArtStation, totally separate thing. If you're working at a studio, that again is an entirely different ballgame altogether. Now, the part two of the question is, what are your thoughts on artists stuck between the dilemma of should they check all the boxes of the latest tech, like ray tracing, path tracing, etc., versus following the path of lighting an environment or a level in the most straightforward way?
Yeah, first of all, definitely not. Because the reason I follow the latest technology, because I actually want to use my personal work to practice and learn it. And in general, I'll tell you guys a hiring story I had. So it's very simple. Of course, the first thing before the company even reach out for a call, right? Definitely we see the portfolio. I have two lighting artists, equally level, they both fresh out of the uni, but one lighting artist, he has a one or two piece about the physical lighting, so he does that photorealistic stuff, just demonstrate, hey, I know what I'm doing. Then most of his work is just like a one or two image, but he polished them really, really well. And each of them, I can tell like the inspiration coming from, movies or games he likes. So they are less fine polished because they are quite new in the industry. They never had any work experience, but I can see where the idea coming from. And also I know this person as an artist, he has solid art foundation about the contrast, the exposure, all of the old school stuff. That's more than important if you're looking for a job. And I have another artist. He is very hardworking, but he got character art, environment art, a little bit of shader, a little bit of animation. So I have no clue what he want to do. And usually as a company, because it's cold blood, it's work, right? We need somebody come in, know what they do, and do the job with least amount of training. That's the ugly truth I can fairly tell, because I used to be an employee and also an immigrated employee. So if they give me 2 weeks for lighting test, I know I'm more expensive to hire because I need a visa. Then I do them within 1 week. You need to be faster, more efficient, and have a solid foundation. Art and 3D software wise will make yourself standing out. You don't need to, know everything, because if people looking for that type of work, it's not what expectation coming for a regular or entry level artist. So yeah, don't stress yourself, guys. You don't have to. Just build up your portfolio with a solid backbone. We start from there.
Yeah, that is something I've just heard so often from like multiple professionals in the industry. I've had the good fortune of interviewing a lot of different people in the industry, character artists from CD Projekt Red, the art director from Ubisoft, creative director from Ubisoft, all of them have said this one thing in common, which is quality over quantity, and also convey a clear message with your portfolio. Let's just say you want to be a lighting artist. Make sure your portfolio is curated to being a lighting artist, so that when the hiring manager sees that, they see that, oh, the position I'm hiring for is a lighting artist. This person, their portfolio is showing their lighting art skills. If you go in like, oh, here's an environment I made, here's a prop I modeled, here's a character I've made, and then here is some lighting artist as well. I understand that the thought process behind that is, look, I have multiple skills. I am like a one-man army, or whatever it is you want to call it. It will not necessarily land the way we sometimes desire for it to land. So yeah, curate your portfolio in the direction, like in the specific direction you want to go into. So if you want to do character art, make sure it's curated in that fashion. Okay, we have a lot more questions. So thank you so much for hosting this event today. Very informative and very inspiring. I'm glad you guys are having a good time so far. I would like to join it. However, one concern I have is, do students receive weekly assignments like homework during the course? Oh, this one I'd already mentioned. It's not like a school or like a university where you have to submit the assignments. There are assignments that are given to you so that you can practice what you've learned, so that you really internalize and you really learn it well. And if you run into issues, you can always ask for help. I'm asking this as I currently work as a junior lighting artist at a company. I'm expecting a busy period around that time. If there are weekly assignments, I might have trouble submitting them. Again, it's fine if you're not able to turn them in, but it's the whole purpose of those assignments is for you guys to learn and practice what you have learned. Just saying, there are multiple people who do have a full-time job and still do the course. So this course is meant for like people from all different walks of life.
Because actually, if you don't
Yeah.
mind, I can just slightly interrupt you guys. So for the
Yep.
assignment format, I can give you an example, because you will see the first assignment coming up very soon, like in the first unit. So basically what I'm asking you guys to do is not even, create a level or, assemble a level at this point. I literally said, because I recorded this a couple of days ago, so I still remember it. So I'm just said like, okay, guys, if you have an Unreal level, open it and follow my instruction, do a skylight and exposure test. That's the first assignment. So our assignment formula will go slightly heavier as the course goes by, but I'm not gonna ask you finish at 8 level because it's 8 session. So it's not, consider this is more like a super focused, like a field specified mentorship, because the way how I designed the course hierarchy, it goes like a pyramid. So at the beginning, I will introduce a little bit of everything lighting wise, so we all have an equal and solid, like safe start. And then it's up to you. See, if you work on exterior or you work on interior, then we go from there, because we cover that simultaneously. That's why you see I choose a semi-open space. So we're gonna talk about a bit of both. So each way you go. If you don't have time, I would say open a small interior, find some lovely room, you start there. You're gonna still learn the same amount of tech execution from this mentorship. Yeah.
That's again, that's good to know. I appreciate that you took a second to like mention that very specifically. It just, I think, gives a better idea for the folks who are listening in right now. Moving on. Love the fact that you started with the bigger picture, knowledge of lighting, and then applying it to games. Great to have a wider understanding of mediums and have been around way longer than in games. Okay, that's not a question, but that is a compliment.
Thank you very much. I'm glad it's helpful. Yeah.
Would this course focus more on artistic creativity or more on the technical UE lighting configurations?
Yeah, that's funny because it's half and half. You wouldn't make good art without knowing a good tech. So there's nothing we can avoid, unfortunately.
Would this program be appropriate for someone at a beginner level? We did answer this. So yeah, just to reiterate what Maria had previously mentioned, if you know the basic navigation in Unreal Engine, you know how to drop a light into the scene, rotate it, spin it around, stuff like that. That is like the bare minimum you need to know. And yeah, from there you can pick up on the rest of the stuff. Um, Scrolling down a little bit more. Uh, I have one concern regarding this course. When receiving feedback, is it possible to communicate not only verbally, but also in writing? The reason I'm asking this is I'm not a native English speaker. I don't have any issues listening. Of course, you can communicate in writing. We'll have like a whole group chat set up. So you can always send your mentors a message, be it on the group chat, be it one-on-one. There's no pressure for you guys to kind of just communicate verbally. You can always communicate in writing if that is something that you guys prefer.
Yeah, and in general, I'd say like if you're actually working on something and show me the reference with your current work in progress because that's usually how we do it. It's like it's probably gonna take us 10 minutes conversation, but if you do a paint over, you send me a screenshot, I do a paint over, it's 5 minutes, and you know exactly what you need to do.
Exactly. So don't feel any pressure if you're not a native English speaker. That's perfectly fine.
I'm not either.
Yeah, exactly. So the goal is to just make sure that you communicate your questions and your ideas, be it in writing, be it speaking, whatever is comfortable for you guys. Um, then we have I just completed a 9 month design boot camp for Unreal Engine in an online school, found an ad for your school, and I'm trying to sift through bot and legit reviews to see how interested I'm in attending this program and how beneficial is it professionally. Besides pre-recorded content and peer feedback, do we get one-on-one access with you over the duration of the course? How big are the classes usually? And will we be introduced to different lighting styles for different scenes?
Well, in general, first of all, I have no clue how many people will sign up, so I have no information about that part. But also, with one-on-one, to be realistic, guys, this is a boot camp, so I will give you feedback based on your work progress. But this is also not gonna be a hand holding course because all of the hand holding part has been pre-recorded. This is what you need. So I would say if we maximize the efficiency, you still have the one-to-one feedback because there is nobody else doing exact project like yourself. So if you keep working it, drop the feedback. In the end of the day, our weekly session is basically a group one-on-one sessions. I hope that makes sense.
And just from my previous experience, the class size is usually not as big as you might think it is. So if you're under the impression it's like 100 people, it's not. Like
Oh, I
it's
can't do that.
we,
Just to
yeah,
say.
exactly. Exactly. Like at Vertex, I've noticed they usually try to keep the class sizes smaller. Like even if there's a large number of people who have signed up, which happens on multiple occasions, they divide the class into like smaller groups so that when the mentor is teaching, you guys have that one-on-one time with the mentor. They can give you personalized feedback and you can talk to them like during the live sessions. Like the whole purpose is so that you can actually interact with your mentor. So yeah, the class sizes are not as huge as you might think them to be. Hi, I am a Houdini user, but I'm learning Unreal Engine. Can I transfer some of the knowledge from the course to Houdini, like lighting concepts?
Well, I think that's 100% transferable because, well, I come from stage and theaters and now I work in 3D. But still, to be fair, like responsibly as a mentor, I'd say, and I hope you at least like understand the navigation because in Houdini, yeah, of course, it's more straightforward because the light is exactly it. But in general, I think we still focusing, how we maximize the rendering efficiency and also all of the lighting units, they are basically the same because they go with the same lux unit. But in general, I think it will help you much more if you have a basic navigation with Unreal. So be sure to watch some quick start Unreal like tutorials from Epic. I think that's the best because it's just 1 hour. And yeah, that's my like consider like a more be considerate. I think that will maximize the learning effort the best.
Also, I just want to quickly mention, if you guys do want to, kind of pick up on the basics of Unreal Engine before once you sign up to the course, like Maria said, the basic requirement is, for you guys to know the basic navigation, how to pull a light into the scene, stuff like that. If you guys want to pick up on the basics real quick, there is this YouTuber called Unreal Sensei. If you guys want to check him out, he has like a whole 1 hour video on just basic navigation in Unreal Engine. That's how I picked it up before I signed up for Vertex courses. So yeah, check that YouTuber out if you feel like it. Um, Next question. If I may ask, do you have any recommendations on reading material on lighting concepts? I'm currently reading Lighting and Rendering by Jeremy Byrne. It's been informative, but a bit outdated.
Right. So if you're talking about like tech stuff, I will highly advise you skip the books because it's digital media, it's real time. There is no latest technology could be have enough time writing paper before it's get outdated. So the best thing I recommend is the NVIDIA webinar because that's where I learn all of the latest real time stuff. For YouTubers, I will not able to recommend you anyone. I think they're all great, but also because YouTube is unfiltered personal content. So I would say if you really fetching tech, the only thing I will personally trust is Epic officials or NVIDIA officials. They host the webinar for free, and all you have to do is sign up their mail list because they're basically work like any online shop. If there's something new, they're gonna send you a very nice, heartwarming email because they want to sell the cards, right?
Yeah. Um, Next question is, would the boot camp, I'm sorry, I'm not really giving a lot of input here. It's just there's plenty of
It's
questions
all
I want
right.
to
Yeah,
make
let's
sure.
go through the questions,
Yeah,
guys, because they are the important part. That's why we
yeah,
are here. But
exactly.
thank you so much, Yash. Yeah.
Exactly. I just want to make sure I get
No,
everyone's
it's all
questions
about
in.
you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Would the boot camp classes be recorded? Can we access the recordings for the boot camp? Yeah.
Yeah, because the content is
Yeah.
pre-recorded, and I do recall like we always recording all of the feedback session, yeah, weekly. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, just to mention, apart from pre-recorded content, the live classes will also
Yeah,
be recorded
yeah,
and
we
you
will
will have
always
access.
record it. Yeah.
Yeah, live classes are recorded. You will always have access to the live recordings as well. Next question is, how is Lumen production ready? This is from when you were showing the demo. How is Lumen production ready? This scene is wonderful, but how optimized is it really? There's a lot of back and forth in regards of Lumen. Some professionals say that it is not production ready. Others are using it already. The main topic from Unreal lovers is skill issues. Uh, while Unreal haters are saying that it is only for newer hardware, I don't know which hardware does Lumen target. Cinematic shots are not a problem, but indie games run with bad Lumen unless there is a big team behind it. Okay.
Right. I don't think this is a question for me. This sounds like more for Epic or NVIDIA, but as a user, I can tell that's exactly why till these days in lighting production, we still has hybrid workflow and a real-time workflow. And some of the internet comment, regardless, the hot spots, I would do say most of the lighting progress, they are overly used because Unreal develop it's a marketing ready engine. It's designed for everybody to pick up, and no matter what crazy stuff you're doing there, the engine is designed to show you sort of nice result. So because it's so sweet on the user side, so there are lots of solid backbones like the basic foundation, such like you supposed to use the light in like a very stingy way, like how I do it in general. But people just tend to ignore it because everybody is after that. Oh, it's real time. I can use how like as many lights as I want because there's mega light. It's all the commercial stuff. But if you ask any like experienced game developer in art, people gonna tell you like no matter which discipline, people will always tell you we use like whatever works the best. But also if we can put two options to resolve the problem, we never put the third one in. That is the basic mindset as a game dev. It's not about align or show off those sweet function because indie, I have some consultation clients, they're actually indies. Some of them it's like it's a two-man team. They got like amazing programmer, but yeah, when they work with lighting because they saw the visual, but they do not work in our way. To us, like it's one actor 0.3 millisecond, but they don't have that experience yet, but they are like masters with coding or other disciplines, so no wonder people will make circles. So I think this is a very broad question and it's very little related to our open day today.
The next question is, does your job overlap with FX artists in development?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So in general, I think there is no standing alone role in any like a game developer, regardless the scale of the team. For example, the lighting can only jump in when at least the game design is ready, and then the lighting could only go next level when the environment art is ready. So you end up working with lots of department, and in the end, like me and FX, we are like the last, but also audio. So sometimes we got like a bug fixing together. So you do like just be used, you're gonna talk a lot, even like you're a specialist. Because I do worked on a couple of jobs, a really lovely studio. I'm actually the only lighting artist on site or like in the team. But in the end, I never feel lonely because we can't really make up a game just to make them light and pretty, right? So there is lots of communication, and I learned a lot from my colleagues from different departments.
I'm going to skip this next one because it was the same one. This was again regarding Lumen.
Mhm.
Um, this one. A previous environment instructor of mine. Okay, we covered this one as well. Oh, hold on. Oh, no, we haven't. Sorry. A previous environmental instructor of mine mentioned that they found the technical aspects and specifically some of the math involved in lighting really challenging. I was wondering if you could talk on what some of the challenges in that area might be.
First of all, I'm not sure which areas they talk about.
They said that they found the technical aspects, specifically
Yeah.
some of the math involved in the lighting.
I think it's not a
Which
good
has
idea to ask an artist about math.
Yeah, that is so true. Obviously with exceptions, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um, the next is on the technical side of lighting, I learned to study real world values and use the knowledge I learned in photography. But what if I want to go a bit more stylistic? Would you use the same workflow, then change it, or would you approach it differently?
That's a great question. So, long story short, if you're coming from photography, I'm sure you know what is light ratio. So basically, we talk about the bright difference between the key light and secondary light. So what I usually do to save my life and make my life easier is I keep the light ratio rather than my sum must be 12,000 lux. So that's a good call. And you will see me use this method a lot in the practice, in this pre-recording content. So yeah, absolutely. I think in 3D lighting, numbers is never like most important. And also take some work example, guys. I got some really old asset coming from non-PBR workflow in couple of my early years job, but because they're massive, such as the rocks in the scene and the trees, and because it's like a long running franchise, there's no way they're gonna replace it to something more legally tech green. So what we tend to cope is we keep the light ratio because we will have the contrast level. However, the numbers it really doesn't matter as long as it doesn't harm the surface, the albedo. For example, if it's a really old school, even from Megascan, if you get slightly exposure compensation, the physical lighting gonna make something overly bright because that's how real life it is, and the real life lighting is quite boring, right? It's correct, but it's boring. Yeah.
Um, the next question is, I have experience and studies in video games, but I work like visualization artist, but in other sectors, for example, automotive, and I haven't had the opportunity to work in a studio, as they always require prior experience. What advice would you give me to help me get right on track?
Depends. Are you looking like, are you in the future, you're working more like a generalist? I think you're on a pretty good state. But I'd say if you are looking for a specific job, let's AKA lighting, then definitely maybe focus more like create some latest portfolio and following some certain format, which we already mentioned earlier. But in general, I'd say if you're already like a self-established as visual development, I do believe like idea wise you are very strong. So if you have some like tech field which is missing, perhaps you can focus on that. I think
Um,
Rachel is on the spotlight. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
Rachel, your mic is on. If you have any questions, feel free to
I'm okay for now.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to put you on mute if that's all right. We could hear
Sorry.
some of the background
Yeah,
noise. Sorry about
yeah,
that.
please mute it. Thank you.
Sorry
Yeah.
about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So the next question is, will this recording be on your guys' YouTube channel or somewhere? Yes, this will be on Vertex School's YouTube channel, and we will also be emailing you the link for this recording. So yeah, where can I find this recording? I just answered that. So okay. I understand how valuable the mentorship and structure of the bootcamp are, but for someone who is currently not able to afford it, what would be the best way to continue improving as a lighting artist on our own until we can join a bootcamp like this?
Right, I'd say I think that's more Vertex question, but yes, if you don't mind, I do take like a
Yeah,
one go like a budget version, so which is only cost,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. So it's only take you 150, but what we do is I help people see like in the early stage, consider this is a 2 hour conversation. So what I do is I'm gonna ask you to send me your background a little bit more, and then we can have a 2 hour conversation. After this conversation, you will have a long-term study plan for yourself, which designed by me. So this is a way more budget version. And initially, I designed this program not even for money, because a reality is I have some student. They are actually in like a less developed country, and they are really keen. Like I see people like work hasn't. We have 8 hour difference between UK and their countries, and they're online and they spend like in my evening, because I was working, so I can only do the mentorship at night. They are so dedicated and they show me the work. Their work is actually very good. The only thing they're missing is like, how to arrange your skill together. So if you are looking for more free source, do check like YouTube. And in general, I would say I'm also making free content on my personal blog. You will see a lot of like my work deduction. And in the future, I'm also consider opening some free YouTube, because I opened one on Bilibili, but that is in my native language, is in Mandarin. So yeah, slowly we're gonna get there. But yeah, keep it up. It's not, because I'm also a self-taught artist, and back then I was fighting with Visa. With like Visa is like a time bomb, but it's not fun at all. So yeah, best of luck and keep it up.
I'm also going to suggest, if you're not able to join the course at the moment, you're more than welcome to join the Vertex Discord server, the Vertex community, because that is another good thing to do. You can always find the Discord on the Vertex website. Also, just because if you're in part of the community, you can always talk to like-minded artists, people who probably studied at the school and now are working in the industry. You will find help there. So it's a fantastic community to be a part of. So I'd highly recommend that. I'm also going to pop an email in the chat. So let's just say you guys, some of you are unable to go with the pricing plan. You probably need some more help. Email that, send an email to that email ID I just sent on the chat, because one thing about Vertex is they always try to help artists, because that is literally their main goal, is to help students learn. It's not just sell the course. The goal is to help students learn, and if it means like helping them in a slightly different way, making sure there's a separate payment plan for them that they can go ahead with, yeah, that is like part of the process. So feel free to reach out to them over there. Going through some of the last few questions. Hold on. Is this course free to join? No, the course is not free to join. But like I just mentioned, if you guys need help with some payment plans and stuff, feel free to email that email, send your messages on that email ID I just sent. Unreal Sensei is the GOAT. Yes, I would say, like, if you guys want to learn the basics, he is really good to, if basic navigation in Unreal Engine, he's fantastic to learn from. Is it acceptable if I submit my own lighting scenes for assignments instead of the provided scenes? I ask because I have a lot of personal projects I'm working on, and it would help me a lot. I think I'll give this to Maria.
Yeah, that's everyone. You're supposed to do that. I'm not gonna provide you anything for this course. So yeah, go for it. I'm really excited, because this is why I'm saying I'm teaching you how to light, not teaching you how to light a scene.
The next question is this course recommended for lighters who want to work in cinematics in Unreal, or is it more focused on gameplay lighting?
I would say it's for both because what I'm teaching over there is applicable in both game lighting and cinematics. Yeah, I would say it's for both because at some point these days I only know a handful studio. They only hire for cinematics. If you really want to like stay long and be competitive in this role, I will expect you to do both. That's my experience, guys. Yeah.
Um, Next question is I am completely self-taught, so I don't really have any experience in the industry. If I ask a bunch of industry questions during the course, would that be okay? Because this is
Absolutely.
more of a lighting course and not a job prep course, so I wasn't sure if it would be appreciated.
Oh, actually, guys, I was about to mention, usually at every of my lighting bootcamp in Vertex School, I do like a career advice recording as a little bit of extra in the very end of the course. So my suggestion would be, well, if you are looking for a job, of course, please focus on the study because it's your time and you know your finance plan. And at end of the session, usually like in from the second last or the last session, we tend to have a little bit more hangout time because I would love to help my students in the future for career. So usually I give you advice like say based on your learning result, that's the most reliable one. And also I'm gonna do a little bit of pre-recording course to share tricks and portfolio recommendation. It's actually included. So yeah, feel free to.
Um, the next one is it also possible, we are fairly close to, I think, getting all of them. Is it also possible for a company or studio to purchase the bootcamp course, or is it only limited to individual buyers only? This question, I feel like you probably should send a message to that email ID I just shared in the chat because this is more for like the backend team to answer as opposed to the
Yeah,
two of us
yeah.
here.
And also,
Um,
as an artist, I would say preferably this is for individual because, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of our course content has been pirated before. And as an artist, I believe we all have 100% right to against the idea. Yeah.
yeah. Um, what's the Discord link? I will put the Discord link in just a moment on the channel. Just give me a moment. Uh Okay, cool. I think we have gotten all of the questions. That was fantastic. So a couple of things, guys. One, I'm putting the first link I'm putting in this chat right now is a link to the entire course. So you guys can go check out the modules, the week by week plan, all the details that are about the course. The next link I will be putting in is for the Discord server. So you guys can join in on that and feel free to introduce yourselves. It's a very friendly community. Um, and there's always hold on, there we go.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna copy that link. Okay, this is the Discord server link. Okay, another question. Guys, just so you know, I appreciate everyone being here. We have gone over a few minutes. Just gonna cover this last question and then we'll focus on like wrapping up. When optimizing for lighting for performance, what are the aspects you will never compromise on artistically?
Well, I'd say if it's for work, yes. If it's navigation, I'm sure nobody will like vote for you to delete anything. But I would say this compromising issue only coming from work project at personal work actually, because this is for reveal our artistic ability. I will advise everybody to consider less, but also don't do crazy lighting. Just don't drop 12 lights in a small corner. Absolutely no, because in general, I'd say the style or everything is not compromised for your personal work. That's why I'm saying do not take feedback halfway because that's gonna mess up with your ideas. Yeah.
Also, guys, in case the Discord invite I posted is not working, try the second link that I posted on the chat. Also, if that one doesn't work either, just head to the Vertex website. If you scroll to the very bottom at the footer of the page, you should, well, see the word Discord. If you just click on that, you will get a link to join the server, so you guys can join that way. So yeah. Any more questions before we wrap up? Because if not, we'll just get to it then. Just gonna
Yeah,
give
I
it a
think that's
second.
everyone. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
we'll
that's
be here for
everyone.
an hour and a half
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Okay, I think that's everyone. So
Mhm.
thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys had a good time. I do want to mention one last thing, that enrollment for the boot camp is now open. So, and all of you get 30% off if you enroll before 11:59 p.m. on by 21st of November. So keep that in mind. Thank you so much for joining, Maria. Thank you so much for your time. It was a pleasure. I hope you guys had a good time and you guys learned a lot. Thanks so much for joining, guys, and we'll share the recording shortly with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a good one, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.